everyone, welcome to LexTalk, World Talk Show presented by Regulators. Today we have Ms. Priya Mahajan with us. Ms. Mahajan is the head of Asia Pacific Public Policy and Regulatory Council, responsible for strategic level policy advice regarding Verizon's business operations in the Asia Pacific region. She holds extensive technology policy experience as well as advising on telecom licensing, digital services delivery models, IT outsourcing, data privacy and cybersecurity matters, and so on and so forth. We actually have a lot to discuss about her. So without further ado, let's welcome her to the talk show. Hello, Ms. Mahajan. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hi. A very, very good morning to you, or I should say good afternoon because I'm based in Singapore. I'm really glad to be here. It's a pleasure to be on the show today. Thank you so much.
Yes, all ma'am. Thank you very much for getting some time out of your busy schedule for the session today. So, as I said, I tried my level best to cover things about you, but it's just not possible for me. So, let's start with my first question. Whenever it comes to a experienced lawyer, I always tend to understand the motivation drive for them. So, what motivated you to choose the legal sector as a domain of work, and how has been your career spent so far?
So that's a great question, and I generally, I don't know if it is with me, but I generally get asked a lot about that question. And to begin with, I come from a family of lawyers. I'm a third generation lawyer. My father and my grandfather, they were all lawyers. And right from the beginning, from early childhood, I had a very keen interest in the field of law. And so, after obtaining my law degree, I decided to join the profession. I just want to note one thing here, and maybe for others who are listening to me have had the similar experience. But when I decided to join the field of law a few years ago, legal profession in India is typically tends to be male-dominated profession, and generally, it will be that people tend to follow their family profession. So if someone's a lawyer, they'll prefer their son to be a lawyer as well. In my case, my parents, they challenged the status quo because everybody in the family was saying, it's not a profession for girls. Why don't you get her, admitted to some other, course or degree? But I think in my case, my parents chose to challenge the status quo, and they encouraged me to join the profession. And I think, they inspired me to take the road less traveled, and that made all the difference. I hope I've made them proud by joining this profession, challenging the gender stereotypes and the discrimination and bias that we have sometimes. But I'd note that over the years, this has changed, and women are now more vocal and assertive about their choice, about their career progressions. So I'm glad we are making a very good start and probably a headway into this in addressing some of these challenges. So that's a very long answer to a short question about how and when I decided to join the legal profession.
And how has been your career span so far? I mean, I hope you're of course enjoying it, but if you can just put it in words for us.
Absolutely. You know what, as anybody who's joined the legal profession, typically we tend to spend about 6 to 7 months or 1 year as a trainee advocate, as a junior associate with some senior lawyer. So I started my journey with this very senior advocate who then later on rose to become a high court judge. So I started with him. But early in my career, I noticed that I wasn't made for litigation. I wasn't made for the court, the hardcore court work. And corporate in-house work was still picking up at that point. It wasn't very popular as you see today. It was just shaping up. But as luck would have it, I was approached by headhunters for a role in a telecom company in my hometown. And I was like, okay, I haven't heard about it much. So I was like, I spoke to a few friends of mine. And so my first job was that of a legal counsel for a telecom company, which was setting up its operations in Chandigarh, which is my hometown. And then there's not been a looking back after that. I have had stints with the local telecom operators. I've worked with Airtel as a regulatory counsel for the Northern hub. And then in 2008, I joined Verizon, which is what my present organization is all about. And since joining Verizon, I have changed cities and I've changed roles 3 times. I'm thoroughly enjoying what I do today, which is not legal work, hardcore, but it's more towards a policy role. but I really enjoyed what I'm doing. So my role, as you can see, has evolved from being a hardcore legal, commercial legal business support role to regulatory, and then now to public policy.
Mhm. As you mentioned that you are a third generation lawyer in your family. Um, we have had several interviews, especially the women lawyers who were first generation lawyers, and they've started their law firms very recently. And as you said, it was sort of supposed to be a male dominated society, but now, women that are the way they are coming in, they're sort of breaking the hoax. So, if we can understand from your perspective, what's the difference if someone is a first generation lawyer or a woman first generation lawyer and a third generation lawyer? With the key differences, or what is in it for you as an advantage that the first generation lawyer doesn't have?
I think I would say, to be honest, as a third generation lawyer, you definitely have the advantage of someone who can be a mentor, your mentor, your supporter in your family. And in this profession, connections work a lot. You tend procuring work for a young lawyer who's the first generation is very difficult as compared to someone who's got connections already through their father or grandfather. But in that sense, I would say that I had the advantage because my grandfather was already a lawyer. But at the same time, I did realize that this was not something hardcore, working in the courts and doing court work was not something I would be interested in. But definitely to your question, I believe that even, and I'm not discouraging the first generation lawyers, but I do think that there's definitely a very big advantage for someone who's coming from a family of lawyers in terms of getting work. But after you get your first assignment, it's up to you how you want to deliver it, how passionate, how committed you are. And I think in today's world, you have to be really, really good in terms of your work product, right? Your clients are becoming very demanding. So to me, I think your connections can get you work one time, but if you don't deliver on them, I don't think it's going to take you far away, right? So to me, yes, it's you get probably a good start, but it's only your own passion and your what commitment you bring to work which really matters.
That's a beautiful one. And coming back to your professional journey again. Um, how did you grow your interest in this particular field, which you are into right now? Just want to understand that.
Yeah, so I mean, as I just mentioned, I did my law degree. I joined in the legal profession as an in-house counsel. So I was doing legal work, right? I was doing contracts and agreements and litigation, supporting the company in-house team. But I think beyond a certain time, the work was getting very monotonous for me. Work was like this repetitive kind of work, and I'm a person who really likes to be challenged to doing new things. And so this very good opportunity at Verizon came in 2017, which was developing a public policy role and kind of being the voice for the company with the regulators and the policymakers. And I think in today's world, it's becoming very, very important. As you can see, there's a lot of focus on emerging technologies by the regulators. The regulators are very closely monitoring the kind of business models and what kind of regulation is fit for purpose for that kind of technology. So, to me, quite fortunately, the company decided to have this role, and I was given this opportunity if I would be willing to take this new role, and there was no playbook, there was no person prior to me in this role. So I had to create this role and just define what really would make sense from a company and the strategic business interest perspective. And so I took the plunge. I think it was a leap of faith for me, and I took the plunge. And and I think if I look back, it was a game changer for me professionally and personally as well. And I really enjoy what I'm doing today. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we all can sense that. All of our viewers can also sense that, I believe. Um, when we also talk about, whether it's a third generation lawyer or first generation lawyer, there's got to be some inspiration towards what you are actually into. And in legal profession, whether it's in-house or law firm or litigation, it has to have some value addition to it as well. So, who's your inspiration, or what have been your biggest inspiration?
I think that's a great question. To me, my parents have had a very good, very biggest influence, and they are my supporters and my biggest inspiration. And very early on in my career, they've laid a lot of focus on good education, that we should get good education, me and my sister. So we are two sisters. We don't, there was no boy in the family, and we knew early on that, we don't have a very good business or something like that where we could just run it as per the family kind of desires. But I think to us, we knew the importance of education. We had our goals, and what our parents really did, they were incredibly supportive of our dreams. That even if it meant, as I mentioned, challenging the status quo, moving cities, moving countries, and our parents have always stood by us, our decisions, and they've helped us in whatever way they can in excelling both academically and professionally as well. So to me, I think I would say that my parents have been the biggest inspiration and influence on me in shaping me what I am today. And for that, I'm really thankful to them.
Moving forward from this question, I mean, I'm not sure whether this is the right question or not, but lessons on learnings that can sort of reflect to everyone, and people can learn from your experience. That's the motto of asking me this question. What are your key lessons or experiences that have enriched you and are currently aiding you in your professional journey?
Yeah. I think our world has changed a lot post-pandemic. And to me, today, the experience that has enriched me or that is aiding me is the experience how you treat others, to be more empathetic, and adjusting ourselves to the new mindset, new normal, as people say, both at work and at professional front. So to me, I firmly believe that being empathetic, being able to treat others with respect is something that is given, that is really, really important. And the way we treat others, it's the experience that really matters to the other person. So I believe that the first thing that has really helped me in my career, or even personally, is being empathetic to others, being mindful, and also being culturally sensitive. We work in a very diverse environment today, right? It's a globe, so we've all digitally connected, and the way we work and operate in a diverse environment really talks a lot about how we treat others, right? And this goes back to the point about empathy. And I'd also like to connect, recognizing and celebrating each other's diversities, right, is important. So if I'm working with colleagues who are in different time zones, and I'm just to give you an example, I can't schedule a call which would disturb with the family time. I mean, to some extent, we try to accommodate that. So I think just being mindful of who you're working with, being culturally sensitive to it, and being empathetic is important. The other important thing is being very authentic. To me, if you're authentic, you bring your authentic self to work. That really matters, because you can't survive, you can't walk a long path by imitating others, right? So you have to have your own unique skills, traits, and your personality that is able to drive you forward towards your chosen path. So that's the other part. And the last one is being more curious and passionate about your work. I think in today's world where we have technology is moving at a fast pace, we really have to be very adaptive, at the same time having a learning mindset and being very inquisitive about things. So to me, it's also about how inquisitive I am about new things. Sometimes I don't even know what things I am supposed to talk about, for example, in a regulators conference. So for me, it's also about speaking with the subject matter experts, reading about them, and then helping the conversation in a way that helps us and the business as well.
Wise words from a wise lady.
Thank you.
Ms. Mahajan, I now actually have two more questions for you. But I mean, one of that is more towards because we generally get this question that ask the individuals who are coming to the talk show regarding what can be done to sort of reach their position, or what to follow in order to reach where they are. In your perspective, uh, what should be the specifications or things one should do in terms from a study pattern standpoint in order to be part of public policy and to become a public policy or regulatory counsel, or even to be part of the the digital side of the legal industry, like as you are digital services delivery models in IT and so on and so forth. So what are the specifications that are required to do so?
Well, I think when I started law, there were no specific courses for public policy, but today I see a lot of universities are offering standalone courses in public policy. So I think that's one probably a venue that people can choose from. And to me, it's also about on-the-job training, because I didn't get a formal public policy degree, but what I really learned over the years, I accumulated a lot of experience in the legal technology field, because I have been working last 22 years mostly in telco space, right? So the vast experience that I've kind of aggregated and accumulated over the years has really helped me in this role. And what has also really helped me is the fact that in the policy work, you need to have a lot of networking skills, right? And to me, I really firmly believe in the power of networking, especially when we are becoming more connected and digitized. And so, when you use latest collaboration tools like we're using this platform today, our networking can be quite effective. And it's a great way of enhancing our profile. So I am pretty vocal and active on LinkedIn, for example. This is one of a very, very professional mediums to have your voice on issues that are of importance. To me, it's also about making your presence felt on that particular platform. Again, I'm also a very strong advocate of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative. So I definitely have a keen interest in building connections with people, then leveraging those networking opportunities, and then being mentored. So I've always had mentors in my professional journey. And what I really look forward to those professional interaction is how their experiences can enrich my own journey, because there's something to be learned from everybody's experiences, right? That's the thing that you always have to remember. So for me, it's also about being mentored by those inspirational leaders. And again, lastly, I think there's so much disruption happening against in our day-to-day lives. And I think some of the traditional business models are now getting disruptive. So we really need to continue to reskill ourselves and learn new things, stay ahead of the curve, right? Because you can't just, you acquired some knowledge or some degree today, for example, a public policy degree, and then 10 years down the line, that may not be enough to sustain you in that particular role. So to me, it's also about continuously upgrading your skills and your, whatever is expected of you from that particular job, to be able to support the business more efficiently and in a more sustainable manner. And last but not the least, I think it's also about being more sensitive to the business needs, because policy doesn't operate in vacuum. We can't advocate for things that don't make sense for our business. To me, one of the biggest learning is also making sure that whatever we are advocating externally makes sense and is aligned to our corporate goals, our business goals. So I think having a constant touch point within the business and from time to time aligning our priorities with them is really, really important. Thank you.
Actually, a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. Mahajan, I mean, we are short on time. I mean, we understand that you're really busy be there. But last question, trust me on this. What are your future plans?
Well, there's a lot on my plate. As I mentioned, for me, the demand of my job is that you need to reskill, learn something new, stay ahead of the curve. So we have a very good program at Verizon, which is a tuition assistance program, which we can use for upgrading our professional development. So I plan to use that and leverage that for doing some kind of certification, be it privacy or in cybersecurity space. And then I also plan to engage in volunteer opportunities this year, because as I mentioned, post-pandemic, a lot of people, have lost work and they need extra support and help. So we have company-wide initiatives at Verizon around digital inclusion or climate protection or human prosperity. So I'd probably spend a little more time on supporting these volunteer initiatives by the organization. And last but not the least, focusing on my own self, health, because I think one thing that pandemic has taught us is health is wealth, a good reminder. So I plan to focus more on my own personal health and probably do more of cycling and some physical activity as well.
Yeah, pandemic taught us one more thing. Please wash your hands always. So
Oh,
that is
yes,
also another thing that we all learned from it.
absolutely.
Ms. Mahajan, this was a great session so far. I mean, I couldn't thank you more for this, for sharing your personal journey with us, and for sort of guiding us through, or our viewers, of course, in order to what can be done to sort of achieve what they really want to achieve, especially in your specifications where you are precisely into. So thank you very much for sharing such great insights with us. And as I said, we of course look forward to having a great chat with you just like this in the future on some other trending topics apart from your journey in the international legal fraternity. So thank you very much for the session today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. Have a good day.
Just all mine, ma'am. Thank you very much. And for our viewers, if you like this chat with Ms. Mahajan, I want you to like this video, to share this video, and click on that red button to subscribe to Click Away Creators YouTube channel to appreciate what we do. And you have more coming in from legal industry leaders like Ms. Priya Mahajan. This was Sagar from LexTalk World signing off.